What's going on, you guys? For today's video, I kind of just want to go over my personal thoughts on the current state of Zenless Zone Zero. Just kind of want to talk about anomaly characters and crit-based characters. It definitely does feel like they are pushing anomaly pretty hard. We've gotten Jane Doe, Bernice, and Yanagi, and these three characters definitely feel like they definitely do feel like the strongest characters in the game. I mean, Bernice is kind of a sub DPS, but she definitely does make anomaly based teams run a lot more fluid. And also with the release of Caesar, being like a universal support, you could definitely slot her into a crit based team or an anomaly based team. And the current state of crit based characters, it definitely does feel a little bit they definitely do feel inferior, in my opinion, at least, when compared to anomaly based characters, just because crit based characters rely a lot on two stats. It's crit rate and crit damage, while anomaly characters, they mostly care about anomaly proficiency and anomaly mastery, which anomaly mastery you can guarantee through disc 6 and anomaly proficiency through disc 4. And after that, if you're still lacking anomaly proficiency, then you can just get them on the substats, and then like if you just roll 1 on each, then I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. It's just a matter of getting like the cap, for example. If I remember correctly, I think Jane Doe's cap wants to be I think it's 420. And so if you have, for example, her signature weapon, that's gonna be pretty easy to hit because this gives 90. Or if you have, for example, the Gemini one, because this one stacks up to 30, and it'll stack up much quicker if you have more, for example, dupes on it. It stacks up to 4 times. So even if you don't have the amount you need, just like at the start of the battle, just building this up will get you to that mark. So it's just a matter of if you don't have it start a turn, then it'll just take a little bit to build up, and even then it shouldn't take too long to build it up. So and we don't really have that for crit-based characters. We don't, like, if I remember correctly, Ellen's signature weapon gives 20% crit rate, but if you don't have her weapon, then there's like no other weapon that can give crit rate or crit damage, so you're kind of just stuck with like attack, and you kind of have to make up that crit rate loss through the discs, right? So you have to roll for crit rate. You want crit rate here as well, crit rate, like I just want crit rate and crit damage on everything to make up for that crit rate loss. And that kind of hurts a lot, because so if, for example, if I had her weapon right now, like in the uptime with that weapon, I would have 70% or 73% crit rate, right? And it would just make it like her damage would basically just skyrocket just because of that. And I believe Zuyuan's weapon gives her, I think if I remember correctly, it's 15% crit rate. And again, I mean, if you don't have her signature weapon, then again you're gonna be struggling to hit that that high crit rate number. I believe you want to have somewhere around its 80% to 100%, just because of the way that the way that crit damage or crit based characters work is every instance, if I remember correctly, every instance will roll for whether or not it's a crit or not. And because with Ellen, at least, her ultimate and her skill, if I'm like, they hit multiple times. Each time it hits is an instance of checking whether or not it's gonna crit or not. And if you don't have like near 90 to 100% crit rate, there's always gonna be like an instance, maybe 2 instances, maybe 3 instances where you won't crit and you lose a lot of damage because of that. It's the same thing in Honkai Sabra, where Acheron and, I think if I remember correctly, Fei Xiao, they have somewhere around 17 that I think it's 21 hits in their ultimate. So even if you have like 90% crit rate, there's still gonna be like a few times where you don't crit on their ultimate, just because of how many times like how many instances of damage you're going to be doing. So having near 100% is like it's basically required on Fei Xiao in Honkai Star Rail, and even like 99% doesn't cut it. And so I feel like you kind of want to apply that principle here to Zenless Zone Zero, where it's like you're gonna be basic attacking a lot, you're gonna be using your skill a lot, you're gonna be using your ultimate a lot in like Shiyu defense, and every time you're not critting is as an extra, like we'll say for example like an extra second, maybe 0.5 seconds that you have to take to finish off that character, that enemy. You don't really have that problem with anomaly characters. The only problem with anomaly characters is getting enough anomaly proficiency to deal damage, or to deal high, like big numbers with your assault or your anomaly disorder. So but like other than that, you don't really have another stat to worry about. You could definitely say that attack is something you have to worry about. So these like for example my Yanagi and my Jane-Do should probably have a higher attack, but when like I've been able to clear faster with these Jane-Do and like Bernice than I have been with like an Ellen team. But to be fair, my Sukaku and my Icon aren't built like at all, so definitely missing a lot of attack. And my Ellen of course doesn't have the crit damage or the crit rate to really perform, I would say. But that's where I think the problem lies, is you have to definitely invest a lot more in these and like crit based teams than you do in an anomaly team, because this is anecdotal obviously, but I think I was able to build my Jane-Do in like 2 days, and while getting the substats for my Ellen has taken much longer, and also building like a dedicated support just for Ellen kind of feels like a pretty heavy investment, when I could just, for example, and I could run Caesar with Ellen, but it just feels a lot better to run a mono ice team than it is to run a like 2 ice and then like a physical. So I just kind of slot Caesar with my Jane-Do team, and so it definitely feels, at least to me, like it's a lot harder to really build a crit based team than it is to build an anomaly team. There's like just kind of again going over like the fact that we don't really have a engine that gives crit rate or crit damage. In Honkai Star Rail there is a weapon, if I remember correctly, it's called like, I think it's called Cruising the Stellar Sea or something like that. It's a free weapon that you get just by playing it's Simulated Universe. If I had to say, I think Hollow Zero is the equivalent to Simulated Universe, so we could definitely get engines that you can get just by playing the Hollow Zone Zero or whatever it's called. And that weapon in Honkai Star Rail gives, assuming you have all the dupes put into it, it gives 15% crit rate just for free, and it gives an additional 50% crit rate if the enemies are below 50% HP, if I remember. And so that already is 15% crit rate just for free. So from this, so assuming you have all of these, I believe it's 14.4% crit rate, and then I believe all the characters get I think it's 5%. Yeah, all characters get 5% crit rate, so that's already 19% crit rate. And then assuming you're running Woodpecker Electro, that's another 8% crit rate. So you're hovering around 27% crit rate just from that. And then assuming you also have like assuming we get an engine that gives 50% crit rate just universally, that's already going to be a big help. And then you could just run like a crit rate disc 5, and then you'll be pretty good. Like if we had for example right now, if we had a an engine that gives 50% crit rate, I would be at 88% crit rate just like that, right? So we don't really have that yet. So it's kind of a matter of sacrificing crit damage for crit rate right now. I hope in the future we get a if we get a character that can give, or a crit based support that can give all, like, just like a universal crit rate support that gives all allies like crit rate. We do have that. We do have that, and it's Nicole. But with Nicole, you need to have her Mindscape 6, and then it needs to be the crit rate. It's up to 15%, but it's only on allies that she hits with her. I believe it's her skill. I don't think we get. I don't think she gives crit rate outside of that, and even then, you only really run her with Zuyuan, just like on the mono. I think if you get to mono ether team, or it's Zuyuan and then Shinji and then Nicole. So until we get a universal crit rate support, it's me at least. It just feels like Anomaly is the way to go. I think again, she just should have been the crit rate support. I feel like if she was the one that was a universal crit rate support, I think crit based characters would just be in a lot better state than they are right now. And I mean, just the way the game is going, I'm not gonna talk about leaks, but it definitely does feel like they are pushing an anomaly, like an anomaly agenda. Even without like leaks, like just Jane Doe, Yanagi, and then Bernice as well. Lighter is coming in this. I think in this patch. I believe he's a stunner, so I haven't seen this kit, so I'm assuming he's gonna be he's gonna be slotted into crit based team. So he's fire, if I remember correctly. So I think he's gonna be ran with Soldier 11, or if we get like another crit rate based fire damage dealer in the future, I think he'll be ran with them. If I'm not sure if he gives crit rate or crit damage buffs. I haven't seen this kit, so I don't know. But if he does, that's already a pretty good sign that they're gonna now start focusing on crit based teams. All of the Shiyu defense nodes, all the Shiyu defense like buffs, I think the past three of them have been anomaly based. I might be misremembering one. They've all been anomaly based, and I think it's time that we get one where it's crit rate related, where it's like if you use a skill, you get an additional like crit rate or crit damage, just something to help these teams clear in Shield defense. You can still clear with crit rate based characters. I have a bunch of videos on my channel showing that I'm still able to clear with like Alan and stuff. So Alan obviously isn't power crept. If anything, my Alan just isn't as built as she should be. But the issue lies there is how much investment, or how much like energy and how much like materials do you want to throw at disc sets for characters or crit based characters when there's a chance you might not even get the substats you want. Whereas anomaly, you're really only looking for anomaly efficiency, and then after that you can start chasing attack and pen, but the main priority is just getting anomaly proficiency. Whereas with crit based damage dealers, you want crit damage, crit rate, and then if you can like attack percentage as well. So you're looking for you're looking for more substats on crit based characters, and then so it's just gonna be more, at least like for me at least, it's gonna be a lot more time consuming to go for those substats and then those main stats as well, because you also have to get the main stat, and you do have the tuning calibrators, and again it's just a matter of luck at that point. Like if you throw all your tuning calibrators at like a single disc just to get like two of the subsets you want, like crit rate, crit damage, at that point it's just a matter of whether or not you're gonna roll all of your, if you're gonna roll all of those points into those two substats, because if you don't, then I mean you just lost a bunch of tuning calibrators for nothing, right? So it just the current state of crit based characters, I just feel like they would be in a lot better state if the Shiyu defense would prioritize crit based damage dealers, because I feel like even even if the like the shield defense buffs didn't like let's say they did focus crit based characters, I feel like anomaly will still clear relatively fast, if not I think still slightly faster than a fully built Elenjo or a fully built Zuyuan or Soldier 11. Just because with anomaly you just proc a soul, and then like, if you have Bernice you just proc burn, and then you've proc disorder, right? And you can just repeat that over and over again. Whereas like with Ellen, she's combo based, so you have to swap in the Lycon and then swap in the Sukaku and then Ellen and then Lycon, and then it's just like a whole cycle basically you have to do. So I'm hoping in the future we get like a engine, like a W engine that gives crit rate or crit damage, just like we do in Honkai Star Rail. It would definitely help crit based teams. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on everything. Like if you have their signature engines, then I'm sure they're not gonna struggle a lot, right? But it's kind of like and especially if you're free to play. Just free to play wise, it's definitely a lot better to like have anomaly characters, because I mean we have an engine like designed to give anomaly proficiency, and it gives attack as well. So again, like the only difference between like the signature is obviously your signature is going to be the best one, right? But if you're looking strictly for anomaly proficiency, then I mean we have an engine for that, right? That gives a lot more, right? Especially if you have more dupes in it, like it'll give more anomaly proficiency than I believe Jane Doe's own engine, right? But her engine does give her physical damage, and then the build-up rate increases as well. So I mean those are obviously just added as well. And so you can use that Gemini engine on Yanagi and Bernice as well. So we basically have a universal anomaly efficiency engine, but we don't have a crit based universal engine for like Helen, Soldier, and then like Sujuan. So until we get that and we get like a crit based support, I feel like just crit based characters are gonna struggle a little more until hopefully they give us like a buff or something for shield defense. And if they don't, then I mean I think crit based characters are gonna be in a pretty sad state for a while. So I'm hoping Lighter can maybe help with that problem. Maybe he gives something like crit rate, crit damage. I haven't seen his kit, so I don't know. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the current state of Anomaly and crit based damage dealers. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.